of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, listen again, you see, by the dawn's early light, what's all around me, at the twilight's last gleaming, whose stars and bright stars, the heaven is mine. For the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the monsters singing, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, save us as our spangled banner we wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. At this time, I'd invite Paulette Klein for our invocation.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to say that we're going to be hopefully getting involved in a wonderful peace initiative. I'm not at liberty to talk about it right now, but the board is discussing it. And I just want you to know that that's going to be coming and we have something great to look forward to. And what I did for the invocation today is to improvise a little bit on the universal prayer for peace. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust, from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our homes, our schools, our relationships, our communities, our country, and the world. Amen.
Amen. We do not have any visitors, although we are expecting a visitor. And I don't know that he is here yet, but can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna actually pull this mic out because this is awkward. Okay. So we want welcome our president, but we do have visiting guests walking in the door. So I will just announce Ishmael Adeline. He is walking in to applause now, Ishmael. Some of you may remember he was our student who was sent to RILA this year and had a great project on literacy in adults. So we're very happy he's here working and returning to DC the fall. So welcome. We have quite a few announcements we're going to race through because we started a little bit late and we may go out of order to start with our speaker to respect his time and make sure everyone can hear his remarks. I want to say a special thank you to Sharon Hamilton for doing the Rotary Yours this month. That's a great effort and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Sharon. I want to give a shout out, of course, to Mark Olson, who has done yeoman's work of volunteering to copy our programs every week. My home computer just wasn't cutting it. And so he has donated his in-kind efforts to do that. So thank you, Mark. Also, I would like to acknowledge that we now have a new tablecloth thanks to your happy butts. So give yourselves applause. Thank you for that. And at this time, Paulette, thank you for being our greeter this morning. We appreciate your efforts. Were you our greeter? That's who I have down. Okay, thank you. And please check your program. This week is an opportunity to donate blood for the American Red Cross, a very worthy effort. You have two opportunities, August 8th or August 22nd, 21st. It's on your program if you look at upcoming events, but it's at the Chautauqua Mall. So there's always a need to give blood. We also, August 11th, this Sunday, is the campfire at Camp Anyasa. And that is a Rotary effort. And our own Tim Edward will be performing. So it's worth your time. Well, we're looking forward to your performance. Okay, just to be honest. And at this time, I'd like to invite Paulette Klein to give a few shout outs about some work that she's involved with for Books and Bibs. Is that it? Okay. Thanks, Paulette.
Thanks, Marion. Two things I wanted to talk to you about. One is that we have some money that we're still funded for Books and Bibs. So we're going to be using up that money for this budget year to buy supplies. Even though we're going to be a little bit ahead in our inventory, we don't want any penny to go unspent for this wonderful project at the hospital. Still getting great feedback, and we thank you so much for all your participation. As many of you know, on Wednesday, August 14th at Alarm, we will be having our Books and Bibs bag stuffing party. Wednesday, August 14th, 5:30 p.m. And there will be complimentary pizza and wings. And you can bring your own whatever that you'd like to drink. And I do have a sign-up sheet going around. So anybody that can help us with that effort, we have a lot of fun, great fellowship, and a great cause. So please keep it in mind and please sign up if you're available. Thank you so much.
And at this time, I'd invite Randy Sweeney to tell you about a membership initiative.
Couple things quick. I think I caught most of you on the way in. There has been some discussions about getting a new badge, taking our round badges and retiring them. And I think I've caught a lot of you. If you have an opinion on that, and if you would like to keep your round one, you can. If you'd like to get one of the new ones, we can certainly make that happen. We also have 3 choices of what the design may look like. And if you haven't had a chance to check which one you like, check with me on the way out. Also, if you haven't signed on the classification form, I believe it's September 23rd, the young professionals are going to be here, and there's a desire to sort of match them with some of us based on our classification. So I have those forms too, and if you'd fill that out and return it back to me today, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Lastly, I just want to mention that many of you may have read in the newspaper about the crisis in terms of food pantries. And there's a need, the shelves are empty. I don't want to make an executive decision in terms of what our club should be doing to address this problem. So I will send a survey around before I approach some of the soup kitchens to see how our club can be an integral part of addressing that emergency. So look for a survey today or tomorrow for your feedback on suggestions, concerns, efforts that we can make to be part of the solution. So at this time, I would like to invite Phil Calla. Oh, my apologies, Phil. You have been usurped by Sharon Hamilton. So.
Okay, as chair of the club service, I have talked to you a little bit before about our committee and how things needed to change. So today there's a new form, and it also includes a column for setup. And so what we need to do that I have been remiss in the past in doing is coming here a few minutes early and putting out this banner, this bell, the badges, the stuff, the can for the fines, and all those things, the hammer, all the things. Keep attention here, whatever, all those things that we need to run a good meeting. Anyway, we got to do it. So that is just another column. So now we have setup, we have 50-50, we have greeter, and we have closeout. And to get us going, another member of my committee, Pat Kinney, is going to do some of the setup. And when she gets that running like a fine, like something fine.
Well-oiled machine.
She will come and let you know about that. But anyway, so I'm going to start at the back table. I'm going to pass this around again, and I hope that I'm going to see some new names on this list, because remember, it's an easy way to do club service.
Said hello to my chief when I came in this morning. He immediately broke my horns about something. I said, I'm doing your introduction. So I guess that's just between me and you, man. So Tori asked if I would like to introduce my longtime boss. I said, hell no, I want to sit with my friends. So today, I'm reading from prepared remarks. I wanted to be extemporaneous, but they said they didn't have a half an hour. So Nathaniel Barone, Chief Public Defender, 12 years. During the 90s, he was part of our office, left and practiced privately for some years, and then came back. His background, he's a native son. His father was a long childhood friend of my father's, longtime county Democratic chairman, who once tried to recruit me. I'm going off script. Called me up after I was practicing for 2 years and said, we'd like you to run for DA. And I said, I don't think so. And he said, no, we really need you to run. I said, I'm not qualified. He said, doesn't matter. That was how you started your political career. You were just cannon fodder for the first couple races. All right. So back to business. He's got an associate's from JCC, where I also attended. Many of us have. It's a great way to start. Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Government from SUNY Buffalo, and a law degree from University of Toledo. When I was at Ohio Northern University, our mock trial team, of which I was never beat them.
I don't doubt it.
Soundly, I think there was a directed verdict. Anyway, he's got 3 kids. I'd like to expound on that, but I didn't get much information. And he's had many awards and honors, but most recently, the State Defenders Association presented Nate with the Wilfred R. O'Connor Award. It's a statewide award, and it's a testament to his sustained commitment to client-centered representation of the poor, cause he's championed throughout his career. And let me wind up by saying that, often as defenders, we're asked, how can you defend that person? How could you do that? What was that like? And the simple answer is that my colleagues and Ned, I think, is probably one of the most outstanding, all embrace the Constitution, not the words, not just the words, but what it is supposed to do, the freedoms that it is supposed to provide us with. And once you embrace that, you can represent anybody, really. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce boss, my chief, Daniel Barone. Come on up. I'm gonna go back to my friends.
Looks like they put me on a short leash. I can't get out of here, so, and I'm not always too comfortable being restrained. Anybody that knows me or.
We can let you use the wireless.
Oh, okay.
Marion.
No, I already.
Yeah.
Test. Test.
Okay, works. Thank you. All right, this is much better, thanks. So I just, they just let me know that I've got 20 minutes and that's it, so I've got to work fast here. And if anybody knows me, 20 minutes or trying to get something done in 20 minutes is next to impossible. But thanks, Phil. And just very briefly, Phil was one of the, what he said about our dads is true. Both Phil's dad and my dad actually grew up together here in Jamestown. They went to high school together. They remained lifelong friends. And Phil was one of the first attorneys when I came back to town. Phil is a few years older than me. And so he was already somewhat experienced when I came back. And I had the pleasure of working for a litigator. Wasn't always well liked, but you couldn't deny the fact that he was one of the best litigators in the area. That was Ed Fagan, who, God bless him, he just recently passed. And oh, okay, I'm sorry. So thanks. I need a lot of guidance. And that's probably why I'm not married, because it became impossible. It's just me. I tell everybody now that my kids are growing and gone and married, it's just me and my 3 dogs. And even they have a difficult time with me. So, but when I came back to town, one of the first months that I was with Ed, I got together with Phil and John Lamancuso, who's now recently retired. And they stopped by and they picked me up. It was on a Friday. And I was at the office. And if you worked for Ed Fagan, you worked. I mean, it was 70 hours a week. It wasn't just Monday through Friday. And you busted your butt day in and day out. So they stopped by, who both had worked for Fagan as well, started off with them. So they knew what the situation was like. And they stopped by, it was Friday, and they said, come on, you're going to go with us. And I said, where are we going? And they said, look, Friday is going to be a mental health day for you. And they got me, took me, we went to Erie, had some lunch, had a couple drinks. We spent a whole afternoon, and it was probably one of the best times I had, because they did show me the importance of, no matter what you do, there's a balance in life. You've got to be able to spend some time with the people that are important to you, the people you love, the people you care. It doesn't matter what you do and how busy you are, you've got to find that time. So Phil has been a very good friend, and he's taught me a lot over the years. But just trying to put this all together, I do appreciate you asking me here today. I'm humbled by the fact that you've asked me to be here. I am a native of the area. Actually, my grandfather was a doctor. He moved down to Jamestown in the 20s, and he moved here from Buffalo. He had immigrated from Sicily, and he moved from Buffalo after attending medical school at UB, and he became the city physician in Jamestown. And he remained the city physician throughout the Depression into the late 30s, early 40s. And then my father, who after medical school, and he served in the Air Force during the Korean War. He was actually one of the first MASH surgeons in Korea. And when he came back, he stayed in DC at one of the bases and practiced surgery, and it was a plastic surgery. But he ended up coming back here to Jamestown in the 60s. And I was just telling Sharon that, and I am going to loop this back to my job, but I remember my dad early on in the 60s, there was only a handful of surgeons at the time. They didn't have emergency room physicians. They had the General Hospital and WCA Hospital. And if you were a surgeon, you were expected to be on call at the emergency room. And because there was only a few of them, there weren't many days or nights that they weren't gone all the time. And I came from a big family. We had 8 kids. And my poor mother, who was a Bronx girl, she was pretty tough and she could hold her own, but she had her hands full. And my dad was gone literally 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was a different environment. But like I was talking to Sharon, in Jamestown, if you were from here in the 60s, what a great community, right? What a great place. And growing up, I think at least I got the sense, and I was always told that so much of what we do or should try to do is for giving to the community, giving back, helping people. And you would see that. You walk down the street, people would say hello, they'd smile, you'd talk with them, you knew who you were talking to. Look at all the organizations, the baseball, the Little Leagues, the Babe Ruths. Politically, it was incorrect, but the Jamestown area midget football league. I mean, my God, think about it. Midget calling the, it wasn't the right thing. But I thought of Chuck Telford, and I remember during the 60s, football, Chuck Telford was one of our commissioners. And God bless Chuck, what a great guy. We had so many good people involved with our youth and everyone. And I think that's what made our community such a great place to live. But since that time, Phil's right. I came back to Jamestown. Actually, I was admitted in New Jersey, one of my first states I got admitted. But I ended up coming back to Jamestown. I ended up as a single dad, and there was no better place. But, it was difficult. I ended up in the PD office, and I knew at that point that what I wanted to do as an attorney was to do criminal defense. And there was something special about helping people, about being able to do what you can to help someone out of a tough situation. And believe me, if there's a couple things I can impart on everyone here, the criminal justice system isn't perfect. It just isn't. It struggles. There's a lot of flaws. There's a lot of difficulties. But like Phil said, and Phil was 100% correct, what we do and why we do it is to help people. And every day we go in, we're protecting not only the rights of the individuals we're representing, but it's for every one of you. You may not realize it, but everyone, yourselves and everyone you love, is protected by that Constitution. It's the fundamental rights we're all entitled to. And I'm going to tell you, whether you want to believe me or not, they can easily be trampled on. They can be taken away. They can be ignored. It's not that difficult. And if you find yourself in the system, a lot of the individuals we represent have nobody. They've got no one. They've got no money. They've got no family. Most of them come from a broken family. Most of them have drug addictions. Most of our clients have mental health issues. Most of our clients have all these different problems. And quite frankly, it's a struggle for them just to get through the day. They're not worried so much about some of the other things we worry about on a day-to-day basis. They're just worried about where they're going to get their next meal. They're worried about where they're going to sleep. As a matter of fact, there was recently in the Post Journal a picture of a young girl. You might have all seen it. She was homeless and she was underneath the viaduct, right near where Van's Hot Dogs used to be. And you all probably, I used to love Van's. My God, my dad would take me down. We'd go on a hot summer night. We'd pull right in front there and we go in and there's Van and he's behind there. And geez, it's 100 degrees outside, 150 in there. He's sweating. And what's he doing? He's lining up all those hot dogs on his arm, remember? And he lined them all up and he's sweating like a pig, but he's still lining them up and he's slapping everything in. Then you reach in and get one of those ice cold Cokes out of the big red. My God, there was nothing better than a hot dog. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress there. But you know, and these people that are right underneath the viaduct are homeless. And there was a picture, I was talking to Pat Rice, one of our attorneys, and we were up in Mayville and he was looking at the front page and he was upset. I said, what's the problem? He said, look at this damn picture. So I looked at it and I saw it, you know, it's this poor girl and she's got her front and they've got her name out there. And he said, you know, this is one of my clients. And he said, you know, she's struggling. She has a tough time. She has no home. She's got no family. She's got nowhere to go. She's battling different issues, different problems. You know, it's a difficult situation. So what we've done in our office is I've made every effort since I became PD to model our office on a smaller scale, but after the Bronx Defender's Office. Bronx Defender's Office was one of the first indigent providers in the country after the Gideon decision, which requires every individual to be charged, or excuse me, to be represented who's charged with a crime. So we try to model ourselves after the Bronx Defender's Office, which is a holistic approach to representing people. It's no longer about, hey, what have you got? What are the charges? All right, let's try to beat the charges. Well, yeah, you're still doing that to some extent, but you're taking a look at your client as an individual, the whole individual. So now we've got individuals in our office that can address their problems. For example, we've got our own caseworkers, certified licensed caseworkers who are familiar with what services are available in our community, where they can send their clients. We take them, our caseworkers will take them by the hand and get what they need. Take them to find housing, finding medical care, finding them addiction services, mental health services, everything they need. Because we understand, and this is what the community has to understand, is by treating the individual, you're making a real effort at preventing them from falling back into the same situation, committing future crimes. You know, and it's sometimes hard to understand that or grasp that, but you have to be able to put them in a position so they're not going to fall back into that same past behavior. It's not easy, and believe me, and anyone will tell you it doesn't work all the time, but it does work. And there are situations where it makes a real difference. So as a result of that, the other thing you need to know about our office in this county, Andy Goodell here is here. Andy's a good friend of mine. As a matter of fact, his younger brother also is a good friend of mine, Ricky. And we spent a lot of time together. And what we try to do with New York State, they become much more active in giving us money, grant money. As a matter of fact, approximately 75% of our working budget comes through New York State now. Not this county, not the taxpayers. Yet there's still a portion, but it's minimal. So over the last 12 years, Phil knows this firsthand, Andy knows this. Our budget has skyrocketed. Our monies, though, have skyrocketed because of New York State's involvement. So that's, and what that has done, it's created all kinds of new jobs in our department. As a matter of fact, right now, we've got over 20 full-time attorneys that work in my department. 20. We're the largest law firm in the entire southern tier. And do you know why we need that many attorneys, though? It's because of our caseloads. We handle over 10,000 criminal cases a year. Think of that. Over 10,000 criminal cases. We're one of the busiest public defender offices in New York State outside the 5 boroughs. Jamestown City Court, I was told this by Judge Panabianco. Jamestown City Court, where Phil works, is the second busiest city court in the 8th judicial district, which is most of all of Western New York. That's how busy it is. So our caseloads, we also have a family court division. And I've got 4 full-time family court attorneys. Now that doesn't even bring into discussion the support staff, our caseworkers, investigators, legal secretaries, paralegals, interns. We get law school interns every summer. But the amount of jobs that's created in our community is tremendous. It brings money into the community. It's beyond just what it does for our community legally. It's what it does for it financially, quite frankly. It's a tremendous growth. And the reason why it's growing so large, New York State, and I've got my own opinion of it. I think eventually what you might see, Andy can probably answer this better than me, but I think that eventually you're going to get New York State actually running the public defender offices throughout the state. And I think it's becoming more and more like that. For example, we have regionalization offices that help us with different things. It's just, so you're going to see more and more of that. But the effectiveness, the ability to represent people, these cases are difficult. Attorneys, for example, any one of us attorneys, we're not going to be expected to adequately represent 1,000 people who are charged with crimes. You can't get to all the files. You can't get to all the cases. You can't talk to all the clients. You can't return calls. But if you have enough attorneys within your department, the number of cases they have to handle is reduced drastically. So New York State's come up with a number and they tell us your attorneys can't handle, for example, more than 250 felony cases. That's it. So in order to do that, we have to have enough attorneys. In turn, that gives us the ability to really get to the representation that's needed for everybody. And that's what we've been doing. And I'm proud of our office. I'm proud of the work that they've done. And it's not me. it's every one of our attorneys and support staff. It's guys like Phil Calla. It's our investigators. It's everyone that works there because they want to help people. They care about people. It's about our community. And it's not adversary like some people might think. Jim Quattrone, the sheriff, is a good friend of mine. We work together a lot. And Jim is interested. He understands what we're trying to do. And I understand what his office and his department's trying to do. And working together, we're seeing a lot of change. And it really is. It's helping one another out. It's not trying to get the best of anybody or do this. It's relying on each other. And I do have to tell you one quick story about his department. So one day I'm in the office, and we have 3 offices, by the way. We have our main office in Mayville. We have an office here in Jamestown on the 3rd floor, City Hall. And we have an office in Dunkirk, at Dunkirk City Hall. So that way we can represent people in each area of the county. Most of our clients have no access to getting anywhere. They have a difficult time just getting to the courthouse. So what we try to do is make ourselves more accessible. We try to be there for everyone. But a quick story about the sheriff's department. They have a great group of young deputies. And they have a great group of experienced deputies. And Sheriff Quattrone really stresses to them, look, it's about helping the people. It's not just about arresting people. You got to help people. So I'm in my office in Mayville, and I get one of the secretaries comes in and she says, I've got a deputy, I won't mention name. I've got a deputy on the phone. He wanted to know if we represented a so-and-so. I said, well, did you look it up in the database? She said, yeah. One of our attorneys, Lynn Schaefer, represented her, and she wasn't there. I said, well, I'll talk to him. So I get on the phone, and he tells me, Mr. Barone, he said, I'm just going out to do my zone check, and I'm here in Mayville, left the sheriff's department. I'm coming down 394. This was in January. And he said, it was snowy, cold as hell, typical Western New York day. And he said, I'm driving down next to the lake, and I see this woman struggling along the shoulder of the road, and she's carrying 5 or 6 garbage bags. And she looked, he said, she was struggling. So I pulled over, he tells me, and I approached her and asked her who she was, where she was going, is she okay? And she just broke down and started crying. I got her in the car, and we pulled into one of the parking lots, and I had a chance to talk to her. And all she could tell me was, my attorney is Lynn Schaefer. My attorney's Lynn Schaefer. She's helping me with everything. And so I said, yeah, I checked, and Lynn is her attorney, and it was a minor matter, believe me. It was nothing significant, but what led to her initial arrest, our involvement, was a drug addiction she had and mental health issues. And they took her in. She had nowhere to go. She got released out of Mayville, and she didn't know what to do. And so to throw in on top of it, her mental health issues, she was having a complete breakdown. And he was kind enough to take her. We had one of our caseworkers meet him at the sheriff's department, and they took her down together down here to UPMC, got her admitted, got her straightened out. But for the kindness of that deputy and wanting to help this particular woman, it would never have happened. And that's because of our understanding with the sheriff's department and with our involvement with one another and just trying to help individuals. And that's really what it's about. Look, you know, there's an expression, and I wish I knew all this crap years ago when I was 20 or 30. It took me my whole life to understand a lot of these things. But it's about all of us helping each other out. That's what it is. That's what we try to do in the public defender's office. And we continue to fight. We continue to be underdogs. We continue to take on the unpopular cases, because the one thing I believe in, everybody is entitled to be represented zealously. Doesn't mean just a body showing up and going through the motions. That doesn't cut it. It doesn't. You got to go in there. You got to bust your ass. You got to represent people and protect them, because for most of our clients, the attorney and the support staff are the only friends in the entire world they have. And look, I hate to tell you all this, but most people that get arrested, most people aren't bad people. I've had some very, what I would consider to be evil clients, a handful over all these years. But most people are not bad people. They've got insurmountable odds against them. They have a difficult time, you know, and just think of yourselves growing up in Jamestown. And I thought of this. I knew when I grew up in Jamestown in the 60s, most of us came from families who cared about us. Most of us had parents that were together, that were working, that loved us, loved their kids. And we knew, and I talked to my brothers and sisters, and there's a gang of us. The first thing I think of when I see a lot of our clients is, I knew when I was a kid, when I went to bed at night, I knew I was safe. I knew that when I woke up in the morning, my mom would be there, or my dad. You'd have something to eat. You'd have clothes to put on. Guess what? You had shoes you could put on your feet, and you were safe, and you were going to go off to school, and you weren't hungry. That doesn't happen often today, you know. So, and I'm going to tell you, I start a murder trial tomorrow with an 18-year-old defendant who's charged with murder. 18 years old. And when you look at the kid, he looks like he's 12 years old. And I'm going to tell you, it bothers me, because this kid didn't stand a chance. Didn't stand a chance. And the circumstances that led to where he is now should never have happened. But for a family, but for a mother that loved him, but for a father that loved him, but for a home that was safe, he wouldn't be where he is today. And that bothers me, and it will always bother me. And I don't make any excuses, but to see where he is and how it happened isn't justice. And that's not a criminal justice system I want to be okay with. And every day I get up, it just can't happen. So that's why I say, look at, if you get a chance, help people out. This organization is amazing. It really is. When I listen to Sharon, when I listen to everyone else and what you do, you're here to help the community. You're here to help people. It's amazing. It really is. And the good you can do it's unmeasurable. It really is. So I just want to say, look, we're all in this together. We are. We all have to help one another. And don't just assume because someone's arrested or you see their picture in the paper that they're actually guilty. Not everyone that's arrested is guilty. Trust me on this. They really aren't. And what it requires is them to get a fair shake in that courtroom. It requires them to receive every fundamental right they're entitled to. And that means everything that you or me or anyone else is expecting, they should get it too. So look, just take care of one another, be involved in organizations. And the last plug I'm going to make is I believe unequivocally in organ donation. If you get a chance, if you haven't signed your license to donate your organs or you haven't considered being a living donor, organ donor, think about it because you can save a life. And I know that from personal experience. So I tell everybody, and you'll have to excuse me, but think about that because it's an important thing. But anyway, thanks for having me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thanks, very informative. Excuse me if I don't have his name correct, the Hadi Matar case has got the highest profile case, maybe it's not the most high profile case you've worked on. What's that like from a media standpoint?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. It's interesting. And you know, from a media perspective, you never realized there were so many media outlets until that case. And you know, it's kind of amazing because every time you turn around, there's a different organization reaching out for comment. There's a different organization looking for information. I think that it's been a learning experience. Every case is different. Every case is a learning experience. And the Hadi Matar case certainly ranks up there. But here's the one difference that I've noticed with that case is the international attention, which is mind-boggling, quite frankly. I get emails, hundreds every day from Japan, from Holland, from I can't tell you how many from the Middle East. You know, and the different everywhere. I think the one, you know, the most interest in that case comes from England. The BBC has covered it pretty heavily, and Norway. And it actually, Norway's filmed, I think, 7 different documentaries on it. It's pretty amazing how hard they followed that. And now that he's been indicted federally, we were up in federal court last week, and with Hezbollah being named in his federal indictment as his co-conspirator, that's going to create a lot of issues, of course. And the one thing is, I think that makes it difficult with the journalism end of everything is the everything the U.S. District Court does in the Western District of New York is it's guided by the Justice Department. Everything in that case comes from Washington because of they're more concerned with the involvement with Iran and the international issues between the U.S. and in the Middle East. So the Justice Department here has their hands, can't do anything without without Washington's approval. So that makes it a little difficult. And then what happens though is press-wise, they're always contacting the Justice Department in DC, who doesn't really say anything. And then the one thing that I've learned over the years, especially now, is that our Justice Department, especially in the Western District of New York, they don't comment really on anything, unlike our county district attorney. And that's what I have a real issue with. And the problem with Hadi Matar's case is everyone, of course, is presumed innocent, right? It's one of the fundamentals because you don't know what happened. And I have to tell you this, every jury selection, I ask people, you've already formed this opinion. Well, yeah, I've read certain things in the paper, this or that, but you know, no one actually knows what happened or what hasn't happened. But every time there's press releases about anyone who's been accused of a crime, it chips away at that presumption of innocence every time, every time, every time. And every time you turn around, you know, you've got this thing going on with Matar internationally. It just never stops, never stops. There's articles being written all the time. And Rushdie's a different alleged victim. Rushdie is not your typical alleged victim. And I can tell you that the attention he's getting, if he was just an average citizen, and I've said this for better or for worse, if he was an average citizen of our county and had been the victim of a crime, he wouldn't, he's being treated, they get treated, there's a difference in the treatment of the victims, depending on who the victim is and depending on who the accused is. They're not going to be treated one and the same. They're not going to. And what's public information? I mean, it just, it becomes, you have to learn to manage and you can't always do it. But yeah, from the press point of view, it's been a handful. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been tough. Every other case, even if it's high publicity, it's limited to New York State or the nation. Not this case. This case, it's most of it is international.
Do you worry for your safety?
Oh, no, that's, yeah, no, the question was if I worried for my safety. I really don't think about it. And we've had death threats, we've had everything, because you see it from both sides, quite frankly. We even get, sometimes I've gotten emails from, well, I won't get into detail, but it's crazy. It brings out people from both sides. It really does. And it just, you just have to learn how to manage it. And you know, you have to be careful, of course. And I think that you start taking different precautions. You just got to be aware of things. It's always, you know, you always got to be careful, especially given the international type of effects it can have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was fascinating. And Norway, I had no idea. We'll look for the documentaries. Ned, before you sit down, I would like to share with you that there's an initiative that's important to our Rotary Club and Rotary International, and that's the eradication of polio. So in honor of your remarks to us today, we will make a donation of 4 vaccinations in your honor so that 4 children will never experience polio in their lifetime.
Oh, well,
So
thank you very much. No, thank you very much.
Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you. We still have a very full program, and I'm going to invite Deb Kathman. Thank you. And Ned, you'll do the honors. Yeah. Okay.
37 to the winner.
Oh, nice.
So,
The last 4 numbers are 7631.
congratulations, Mike Roberts. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite, I'm going to invite Doug Conroe, our Sergeant of Arms.
Oh boy, we're on the run. We'll make it very quick today. As soon as I get the pot back. Ruth, Mark and Jay had to leave, so they're helping it out. And Amy is smiling down there. probably because she was in the newspaper a couple different times. Saw her once with Vince and Mike, who's sitting next to her. And Joelle, and on United Ways merging. And then there was a second photo in there, so come on up.
Can I say something?
Absolutely. Yes.
So this is my happy buck. I'm also, on behalf of Mike Roberts, one of our board members, putting in $72. He's keeping the $2 bill into the pot on behalf of the Board of United Way and the merger that occurred. And then I put my own happy bucks in there too. And just, I do want to just say something to all of the Rotary members who have been so involved in this and supportive. We have so many who are so active. Deb Kathman, John Felton, Mike Roberts, Kathy Birch was on the merger committee. Vince Horgan was on the merger committee. I'm sure I'm missing. Lisa Goodell has been a huge supporter, both Lisa and Andy, and truly a community effort that we could not have done without not just last year's worth of work, but many years of work making this happen. So thanks, Mike, and to all of you who supported it. Thank you. And those are my happy bucks too.
All right. Sharon. We missed you a week or two, but you were in the paper for UCAN. Sharon? Good community commitment there. And Tori, you're gonna need a public defender because you've been on the radio station advocating tax evasion. Because I hear you all the time talking about, don't pay taxes, give it to me.
I'll support that effort.
Okay, but that does it for me, Madam Chair. Joni has something. Maybe
Anybody have a happy buck they want to put in? No?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, come on up, Jay.
Yeah, so my happy box is seeing Ishmael. His father is from Nigeria, and I get to have lunch with him. I think last week, and people here have already been helping him. You know, I appreciate Rotary.
Took my happy buck in, but at any rate, I'll put a happy buck in for a comedy weekend. We saw a great lineup this weekend, very funny. Nate Bergese and that whole group. So hopefully we'll continue that tradition here in Jamestown. And yeah, I'm going to give the mic to Joni.
I was supposed to do birthdays, but given that it's almost midnight, we're going to decide to move it to later into the month. So either 19th or the week after that. So, you know, maybe we're starting a new thing, who knows? But it's not today. But if you gave money for the Rotary Foundation to help stop polio or to promote maternal health or water, healthy environment, all those things that Rotary Foundation does, thank you very much. And we'll be back in touch.
Thank you, Joni. With that, we are going to just recite our four-way test and get the mic out so I can actually see where I am. So I'll ask you just to recite the four-way test before we go out in the world. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. And remember the magic of Rotary. We are adjourned.
Shut up, shut up. Guys, take that.
Good to see you.
100% air involvement in food bank. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
whether that's you go to Vision or you want to have a grassroots movement, but I think our club should be.
Step up some.
We should do that.
Yeah.
So we need some. I think we should look at, go to food bank or Salvation Army. Instead of us putting in canned goods, we might be able to buy from the food bank and really make our dollar count. You know, I remember, I know that if the food bank would have us do that, I take the food bank, I can at least make phone Salvation Army, who has a big food bank, hands out food all of the time, would be another great resource. Her name is Liz, and maybe she could even come and do a program for us. I'll reach out to her.
I'm just gonna send a survey. Like,
Perfect.
take care.
Yep.
What you're telling me.
Yep.
No, Kathy wanted to do it. So just this way we.
I
can say-
remember from the old days, would you rather give to St. Susan's or give food to St. Susan's? St. Susan's wanted the money because they can, I mean, they can get it from the food bank at 10 cents on the dollar. And so, you know, you're going and you're buying something, but Salvation Army prefers you to buy things than, because they literally give the cans out. Where St. Susan's is actually making the food. So we can certainly talk to St. Susan's, we can talk to Salvation Army to get some additional. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate it. You were so adorable. Everybody loves it. Whatever you need, Sharon.
Yeah, look at that. Okay, whatever it is it was. Like, oh, I know, I'll send you a picture of that.
That's a great help
The
too.
books I have at my house, so I have like 8 more of these boxes.
Well, Deb put you on a list.